In the middle of the darkest forest runs this river that has this strange feature about it. Its water is almost black, and they call it Dead River. I have visited this river many times in my life, and was going there on this particular night because I had this feeling I had to clear my mind of things. There are these stories about this river, stories that tell about desperate people who had drowned there, and even demons that have been seen rising from its depths. One story, to me, rises above all. It is the story called Sad Lady of the Dead River. To me, the river is a place for getting my mind into a peaceful stage and relaxing. But nowadays, I have been going there just to spot the shadow of the sad lady that the story speaks of. I hardly even go there during the daytime. The river's magic seems to get a life of its own during the night, and there are less people there when I'm wandering at night. One night I was walking towards Dead River, and I could see how the moonlight made its shades on it. I walked to my usual spot and sat on the log that is next to the river. As always, I closed my eyes, just listening to the river's noise and letting it calm my mind. Suddenly, I could hear this sigh and sobbing from amongst the river's own relaxing sounds. I opened my eyes to see who was crying, but as always, the riverside had no people near it, other than me. After falling to my thoughts again, I heard nothing but the sound of the water for a while. Then I started hearing footsteps, and I felt this cold touch on my shoulder. I turned around and was confused to find myself alone again. I raised my voice a little and asked, "Who's there? I don't mean to disturb you, but it seems something is wrong. Can I help?" Only the sound of the river answered me. I felt this strange sensation that someone was there, but I blame it on my tired and stressed mind that was probably just playing tricks on me. After staying there over an hour, I raised up, and I was about to leave when I heard this crying sound again. Not distant anymore, but close, eerily close. I turned slowly to take a look on the other side of the river, where I saw this lady sitting on the ground, her head on her hands, crying. She was dressed completely black. Even her long, beautiful hair was black. I walked quietly to the river and asked her, "I'm sorry, ma'am. Do you need help? It is cold this night, and it ain't safe to sit here. Can I call someone to get you?" As I was talking to her, she raised up, but her head remained on such an angle that her long hair completely covered her face. The feeling I had being so close to her was deep sadness and cold. How could the air around her be so cold, I thought. She turned around and I could hear the quiet singing.
Sadness surround me, sadness keep you safe. Coldness surround me, run away, why won't they?
The words of that song were strange, but hit my feelings some strange way as I came to know who that lady was. Finally, I had seen her. The stories were actually true. Only the sad part was that I would love to stand next to her, to experience her presence more clearly. If she was here now, I have to start coming back every night and then try to get close to her. I talked to myself as I walked away from that river and hardly could wait until next night. While I was sleeping, I had this disturbing dream about this lady who came to the river with a baby. She was crying. I could not do anything on that dream, merely watch as she placed the child on the water and saw it disappear. After that, she collapsed onto the ground, crying hysterically. After that, I woke up and said to myself, what was that? Was that her? Did she drown her baby? Is that why she is not in peace and keeps coming back to the river? As the next night came, I arrived to the river again and sat on my usual place. This night was even more dark than the nights normally are, and there was no moon this time. I felt myself relax straight away and leaned back, closing my eyes. This time the crying could be heard so clearly for the first time, and it sounded like it was coming from the person that was right next to me. I opened my eyes, feeling both excitement and fear, and turned my head slowly towards the sound. There, to my great surprise, I could see the same woman, but this time, she was right next to me. I could see clearly how she sat there, her hair covering her face completely. "Ma'am, can I help you?" I asked. After taking steps to get closer to her, the coldness hit me again, and I felt like if I would go any closer, my heart could freeze. I just felt this desire to get closer and closer to her, and I took a couple of steps toward her. The crying seemed to make her shake a little. I felt this strong desire to put my hand on her shoulder and help her. Then, the singing started again. The sound of her voice filled my head, and I started walking again towards her. The sadness didn't feel outside of me anymore. Strangely, it felt like it was coming from inside me. I sat down next to her and said to her, "What happened to you? I am sorry, and I'm sorry for that baby too." The lady stopped crying and raised her head a little bit. I could see her eyes now. After that, everything clicked in its place. She took my hand and started walking towards the river. I followed her like a child would follow its mother. As I was in the water and I started to sink, I finally knew the truth. The baby was me.